This is the newest, most exciting entertainment show in town.
Talk about authentic and raw conversations,
Fun and educative segments,
trending topics,
celebrity checks,
books and authors,
Q&A. Join me, LAVIN NYAGOWA and Hazel Njeru every Tuesdays and Saturdays from 3 to 4 p.m. only on The Unfiltered. Get informed on what is happening in our political scenes and people who are making headlines in different parts of the country and the world right here at TAS TV. Join me, LAVIN NYAGOWA, as I bring to you weekly news highlights that are factual every Friday at 4 o'clock. See you then.
Katika kipindi tunakuletea wasanii.
What's up my guys, I go by the name Rainams.
Eti nikipita kwa macho na nipimia, na kama sina pesa unguwezi nipimia. Hapa Shenster the Poet manze.
Ngoma moto moto.
If you wanna show some love, I don't fake it. Kumenya mawazo makuu nani anedera shire warutani waku
Vichekesho mkisongaza, mahojiano moto moto, stori za wasanii pamoja na talanta za wasanii.
Fiki wa kasi gani kama wapatikani wakati wa shida.
Na pia kwenye kipindi utabambika, utajijenga, utaelimika, utakuza talanta yako.
My name is Rebecca Mutie, I'm a model and I'm Afri Kenya. I'm a student. Napenda kusikiza kipindi cha Bonga na Katoni kila Jumatatu kuanzia saa 9 mpaka saa 10.
Kumbuka ni kwenye Bonga na Katoni ndani ya TAS TV kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 10 kila siku ya Jumatatu.
This is Bonga na Katoni in TAS TV. Karibuni.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from whatever place that you get to watch this amazing program. It's been a long time no see. Welcome to the reality check, and as always, I am your beautiful host, LAVIN NYAGOWA. And on this amazing episode, we want to look at African literature as a whole, but narrowing down to what we will be having tomorrow at the 14 Falls Lodge in Thika. In case you want to know what exactly is happening, please stay tuned till the end of this amazing episode. With me in studio, I have beautiful guests from all across Africa. But do you want to know who they are? Yeah, that is exactly why we are here today. They're beautiful authors, beautiful writers. They have amazing stories, and why not just have them for this amazing episode to talk about African literature at large. So without so much talking, remember to follow TAS TV across all social media platforms at TAS TV_KE on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, at TAS TV on Facebook, and at TAS TV Official on YouTube. Currently, we are live on YouTube, so keep your questions coming. Allow us to take this time and now introduce my beautiful guests. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, you look beautiful. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fine after the long journey.
Yes.
Yesterday, we were very tired.
Yeah.
We needed some rest. But we are refreshed for the day.
Nice. How are you finding Kenya?
I'm very excited to be here. It is my first time in Kenya. It is my first time out of Southern Africa, in fact. So a great experience. I've had a very warm welcome to Kenya, which has set the tone, I'm sure, for future visits.
Yes.
But definitely enjoying the company, the weather, and the warm welcome that I've received.
Nice, that is beautiful. And so now, just to start with you, please introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what exactly you do, so that our guests get to be familiar with you.
My name is Kendeka from the province of the Eastern Cape in South Africa. In a little town, originally from a little town, of course with a colonial history, King Williamstown, which was named after a ruling monarch in the late 19th century. And at the present moment, I work in Grahamstown, presently known as Makhanda. Almost in South Africa, geographical, it's all been new names.
Okay.
And Makhanda was a warrior who fought the English in 1879.
Beautiful.
But unfortunately, he was defeated because he had no guns. So that's where I work, basically, in a beautiful museum. Amazon South African Museum of Literature. Beautiful 5-star museum, which is the only museum which has been declared as a green museum in South Africa.
Beautiful.
And I'm also trying to finalize my PhD in sociology at Rhodes University.
Nice, beautiful.
I'm an author, started publishing at the age of 19 in 1991. My debut work was a novel. And I've written across many genres, short stories, not yet published some of them, but I'm widely published in poetry.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Of course, an award-winning poet.
Yes.
From South Africa.
Yes, yes, yes. Can we get a clap for our guest? That's beautiful. Please.
My name is Beverly Ann Abrahams. I am Zimbabwean. I am from the capital city of Harare.
Nice.
I am a teacher by profession, I've been teaching for 39 years now, specializing in English language and literature. I'm also a teacher of art, and I am myself an artist as well. I'm also an activist against gender-based violence. I have my own small home school where I teach a comprehensive curriculum to children of all ages, basically from 6 years old to 18 years old.
Beautiful.
I came to writing fairly late in life. My love of the written word started from when I first learned how to read. As a child, I was a very introverted person. So I found my outlet in books. I read my way through school libraries. My passion for words and books continued. I did my degree in English at the University of Zimbabwe. But life is not always predictable, and it took a turn, and my desire to continue with my writing or to pursue writing very much took a back burner to simply surviving the world I found myself living in. And I felt very much that once I had educated my 4 children through to A level, then I would take the time to pursue my own passions. And that's exactly what I did when my youngest children finished their A level. It was now time for me to rethink my path.
Your path. Beautiful.
So in the last 5 years, I am now focused on my own writing, and the feedback that I got gave me confidence and inspired me. So I've been published in 2 international anthologies of poetry. One Southern African anthology of poetry for female human rights defenders. I work for I'm part of an organization called Daughters Destined for Purpose. It's a UK-based charity, and the Zimbabwean chapter has been going since 2016. I'm involved in a poetry competition, and we use poetry to raise awareness on the issues of gender-based violence to do things in Zimbabwe. And gender-based violence is a huge problem in Zimbabwe, as I'm sure it is in the whole of Africa and the rest of the world. I first entered a short story competition in 2021, the Twasa short story competition, which is a locally homegrown competition. And I got a good reception there, and that was my first publication in a short story anthology. And then of course came Kendeka, which was the icing on the cake for me. And Reminder of Kendeka proved to be a valuable ally in inspiring me to continue with my writing. And I'm very grateful to him for the opportunity to participate in the Kendeka Prize.
Beautiful.
I have gone on to enter a number of other writing competitions. I have one other publication that will be coming out later this year. I will be featured in another journal, a UK-based journal of poetry as well. So I am thoroughly enjoying my privileged position as being a writer in Africa.
Yes, what an amazing way to start this show. Just from the intros, you can already tell the kind of conversation that we are going to have. So maybe just to start us off, from where you sit, Sitembele, I hope I pronounced that right, So would you please mind talking to us about the importance of actually African literature, and especially now from a global context?
Yes, you know, there's a saying that we need to hear the story from the tale of the handed. Or from the voice of the handed, not from the handed himself. You know, for a long time, Europeans who have been the people who interfered with the lives of our ancestors are the ones who have been telling our stories through different genres and through different platforms. Most of them from an anthropological point of view. You know, they went there and conquered, and still they want to tell our stories. So that is where African literature comes in, where from the point of view of Africa, we tell our own stories. And the only reason for that, basically, is to engage. The only person who can engage with a colonial project in Africa is us Africans. And we've got a story to tell. You know, of course, I don't need to go back in the history. We know there are many great African writers who have done that successfully. We've got Dada, Chinua Achebe, were innovators in the field. We've got Dada, Ngugi wa Thiong'o from right here from Kenya. We know, I mean, they've done a great job there. But we need a younger generation to take a baton and move on and run. There's never a finishing line. You know? For example, you know, I think I was assisted through my MA in creative writing at UCT to understand my niche, which basically is to understand the conflicts between the African and the European cultures from an individual level. You know, because as individuals, these issues have affected us, and some of us have suffered because of, you know, the clashes. You know, for example, you know, we cannot take for granted. I'm a Christian, of course. We cannot take for granted enterprises like you know, colonial Christianity, because there are undertones of coloniality in that. And you know, because we're told no, don't worship ancestors. We're told don't do this, don't do that. You know, why should someone from another world dictate to us what to do about the culture of our own ancestors, you know. So I've written a lot around that, either in essays, narrative essays, short stories, but mostly I've found a voice in poetry on how I can really dig down into that, you know. And now the second part of your question, which is the Kendeka Prize, or the Kendeka Project, I think it's a very important initiative, in the sense that we face a problem as African writers that it's difficult to get an outlet in publishing our own work. You cannot criticize someone and then hope that individual is going to give you an outlet to criticize them. And unfortunately, the gatekeepers of the publishing industries are the same colonial masters. They've been there since I was a child. I mean, in the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, trying to write and find out and find my voice in writing, you know, and they are still there, the same people. So such initiatives like the Kendeka are very important, you know, to identify certain voices in Africa. But I think it should not end there, you know. We need platforms for our voices in terms of alternative means of publishing. I don't want to take but I've got a lot to say.
So Beverly, from where you sit, looking at the African literature, it has evolved over time. So do you mind talking to us about how it has evolved over the years, and probably some of the nutrients that you have in the market that new writers can actually tap into to make sure that they move the African literature to the next level?
I feel that African literature has evolved. And there is a dynamic group of young writers who are on the market. Certainly in Zimbabwe, it is dominated by young writers. To be honest, when I put myself out there publicly, I felt like a little bit of a dinosaur because it is dominated by young, enthusiastic writers, all of whom have stories to tell from varying perspectives. What I appreciated about Kendeka was their inclusion of the diversity of stories, which I find is not always there. So when I started writing my stories, one of the questions that came up was, can I tell a good African story? Because of who and what I am. And I want to go back to what my colleague said about that, the racial and cultural clashes of the past of colonialism. I am a consequence of that in being a person of mixed race. So I got to realize that my story is as valid and as relevant as every other story that needs to be told. And I want to tell my story from my own perspective as an African, even if my lane is not quite the same as everyone else's. There is a need for my stories to be out there as well. The consequences of our colonial past will always be with us, and I think it has continued generation after generation. So we need to work through the consequences of what our lives were. And I was a teenager at independence in Zimbabwe, for example. So I experienced that dramatic change and what it meant for young people. So I feel that there are so many more stories that can be told. There is a vast development of the African story, but as long as the times we are living in are evolving politically, and in every other way, there will always be new African stories to be told. And our realities are always so different. And the beauty of being able to tell a story is that subjectivity. That this is my story. I'm not trying to recreate someone else's history. but it's still my history that is true to me.
Exactly.
So I believe that the African story will continue to evolve over time.
Over time.
And Kendeka is one of the platforms that is allowing those voices to be heard.
To be heard.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful, guys. And now I think it's actually the right time to mention what is happening tomorrow. So tomorrow at the 14 Falls Lodge in Thika Town, we are having the Kendeka Prize for African Literature 2023 award ceremony. So this competition started way back in February when the first call for submissions was actually put out there, and so many writers all over Africa came through, and throughout this period up until today we have finally gotten to the top 6, the final shortlisted stories from Africa, which is the most important way to put out African voices to be heard globally. So tomorrow we are having the award ceremony. In case you don't know where that is, just call Mr. Maine, or you can check out our website to get more details and more information on this same. The date is tomorrow, 7th of October. The time is from 2 p.m. East African time. So I think that's well put. So let me now get back to you, Sitembele. We've talked about how the African stories are evolving over time, right? And so how then does African literature contribute to, you know, breaking the stereotypes and misconceptions that are put out there by others who do not actually understand what happens in Africa?
Yeah, I think I've already alluded to that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, and the mere fact that our stories have been told by outsiders,
Mm-hmm.
They've got certain views about Africa.
Yeah.
That out there, Africa is a big jungle
Mm-hmm.
with lions and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but Africa is a space occupied with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there has always been that myth with the colonial project that when they came to Africa, there were no people in Africa.
Yeah.
And thus they were the first people in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had the right to take our land.
Mm-hmm.
They had the right to take our cattle. They had the right to rape our mothers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
They had the right to kill our fathers. You know, because they think that they don't see people in us. They see animals.
Yeah.
You know? So it's good and it's commendable that we go out of the way to recreate or to rewrite that story from a perspective of an African. You know, yeah, we must do that. We owe that to ourselves as Africans.
Yes.
To rewrite the story.
To rewrite the story.
To erase all those myths about Africa. You know, because nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all on us.
Unfortunately for us as the young generation, there are people who have done that already for us.
Yes.
But I will continue.
Yeah. Okay. So Beverly, from where you sit, looking at how, you know, people tend to put out the storytelling aspect, do you feel like it's important to have more sessions where organizations like Kendeka Prize could actually come in and hold competitions, or a weekly or monthly trade fair just telling African stories?
I think there's definitely room for that. There's never enough platforms for stories to be told.
Yeah.
And Kendeka offers free entry into their competition, which is huge, because even a minimal entry fee becomes a stumbling block to a young writer.
Exactly.
So there are more voices that have already been heard.
Yeah.
Many more voices. So certainly I think whatever platforms are created, online, face-to-face and actual, there will always be writers who would be interested in using them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So looking at we normally have challenges that encounter each and everything that we do. It either comes in positively or it comes in negatively. So what are some of the challenges that over time have kept how do I put it, have kept interfering with, you know, putting out stories, and especially African stories globally, just to ensure that our voices are heard outside?
The major problem is, of course, publishing. And the publishing industry that we find ourselves in our individual countries.
Yeah.
Having had a discussion yesterday, what we discovered is that we all come across the same challenges of how to publish.
Yeah.
And then therefore how to distribute our books.
Yeah.
So yes, they're talking about African stories needing to be told, but what about them having to be heard? How would they be heard if they're not published and if they're not distributed?
Yeah.
My colleague has spoken about the need of replacing stories told by our colonial forefathers. How do we replace them if our books never get on the shelves? And that is a huge stumbling block to writers. Certainly, speaking for myself from Zimbabwe, but I'm pretty sure from everywhere in Africa.
Yeah.
Publishing costs are prohibitive. What is needed is sponsorship.
Yeah.
In order for organizations like Kendeka to be able to publish books and distribute them widely, not only within Kenya, but outside of those borders. So for me, a great incentive to travel to Kenya was I wanted my book in my hand. I wanted that book. Beautiful. I didn't want to wait months for it. I wanted the book as soon as Andrew said the book would be available.
Yeah.
And that is such a burning desire for all writers.
Yes.
You want the books.
You want to have it.
You want to share those books. How do I share them to Zimbabwe from Kenya? Yeah. There are limitations there already. So we need structures in place in Africa. Yeah. Where there is a sharing of resources, rather than we face our challenges alone in our individual countries. We are sharing the same problem. We are facing those same challenges. Yes. So we need to look at ways of how this can be overcome. Okay. Whether we need our individual governments to create state subsidies that will encourage publishing and distribution of our own literature. Yes. Because that is so important. That is the foundation of the education of the generations of young people who are to come. We have got to do something to change the future.
The future. Beautiful. So that only means that it's all on us to make sure that, you know, we make the right steps to move forward and ensure that our stories are not just told, but they're also published and distributed globally to ensure that we change this whole narrative that others have about us who are not here. Right? Okay. So with that, we head on a very short commercial break. We remember we still have more to discuss on the African literature, but when we come back, we'll now narrow down to the Kendeka Prize Award ceremony that is happening tomorrow. Stay put and let me see you guys in a bit.
This is the newest, most exciting entertainment show where nothing is off limits. We bring you real, authentic, and raw conversations.
Enjoy good vibes, fashion, and lifestyle from your favorite celebrities.
Fun, trending topics, games, and educative segments.
Every Tuesdays from 3 p.m. and Saturdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. With me, Lavin Nyagawa
and Hazel Jeru.
Only on The Unfiltered.
Katika kipindi tunakuletea wasanii.
What's up my guys? I go by the name Reynams.
Eti nikipita kwa macho unanipimia na kama sina pesa unguwezi nipimia hapa Shenster the Poet manze.
Ngoma moto moto.
If you wanna show some love, but don't fake it. Ida kumenya mawazo mako. Nani anadera shire. Oh, warutani waku.
vichekesho mkisongaza, mahojiano moto, stori za wasanii pamoja na talanta za wasanii.
Rafiki wa kasi gani kama wapatikani wakati wa shida?
Na pia kwenye kipindi utabambika, utajijenga, utaelimika, utakuza talanta yako.
My name is Kendeka Mutie, I'm a model and I'm Afri Kenya. I'm a student. Napenda kusikiza kipindi cha Bonga na Katoni kila Jumatatu kuanzia saa 9 mpaka saa 10.
Kumbuka ni kwenye Bonga na Katoni ndani ya TAS TV kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 10 kila siku ya Jumatatu.
This is Bonga na Katoni in TAS TV. Karibuni.
Get informed on what is happening in our political scenes and people who are making headlines in different parts of the country and the world right here at TAS TV. Join me, LAVIN NYAGOWA, as I bring to you weekly news highlights that are factual every Friday at 4 o'clock. See you then. Welcome to TAS Media Institute, the home of undiscovered talents. You will be trained by professionals who have a passion in what they do. Do not be left behind. Enroll now and become a pioneer of TAS Media Institute. We are located at Neema Plaza, 2nd floor along Kenyatta Highway in Thika Town. Life can sometimes take unexpected turns, and this family's story is no exception. When a gas explosion completely changed the course of their living, Mr. Joseph Lual and his family have been forced to face unimaginable hardships. But even in this phase of adversity, they have managed to persevere with so much resilience. And as the saying goes, adversity introduces you to yourself. Let's get the story of Mr. Joseph and his family.
So welcome to the first episode of Brain Busters. My name is Mwangi Dominic. Lotko barabara ya MKU. Tunauliza maswali tatanishi.
At TAS Media Institute, we let you discover your talent. Welcome back, guys. In case you're joining me just now, we are talking about African literature, but the second part is now narrowing down to the Kendeka Prize for African Literature Award ceremony that is going to be happening tomorrow at the 14 Falls Lodge in Thika Town, Kenya. So in case there will also be a link to join us online in case you won't make it to come into the country, right? And then now let me talk about the anthology. There's also a book launch that we are having tomorrow. So Kendeka Prize has a lot that is going to be done tomorrow during the award ceremony. First of all, we are going to be awarding who are the top 3 who have made it to get away with the prizes that we have. Among the list that we have, you can go check across all the Kendeka Prize social media platforms. We have the shortlisted writers and their stories, and just keep us engaged. Which story do you love? What do you love about this story? And in case you also want to reserve your position and you also want to reserve your space for tomorrow, you can reserve them by booking through the pay bill number 400-200. The pay bill number is 400-200 and the account number is 400-298-34. So let me read that again. The pay bill number is 400, that is 400-200. The account number is 400-298-34 and it reads Kendeka Prize. So in case umetuma pesa or you send your cash and you don't get the name Kendeka Prize, sorry, kindly cancel the transaction and just use the right account number and the pay bill numbers. So the anthology that is also being launched tomorrow is the long listed stories from 2022 Kendeka Prize competitions. That was the second edition of the Kendeka Prize. In case you missed that, we have all the stories long listed during that competition in this year's anthology, the 2022 anthology that will actually be launched tomorrow. Yes, guys, remember you can also follow TAS TV across all social media platforms at TAS TV_KE on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, at TAS TV Official on YouTube, and at TAS TV on Facebook. So without so much talking, let's get back to the conversation that we were having, right? Okay, so maybe just to take us through, Beverly, from where you sit, in what ways can African literature promote the cross-cultural understanding and, of course, bring out the empathy among readers from various backgrounds?
I think by encouraging African writing across all backgrounds,
yes,
as you say, and I think giving credence to the fact that all stories from all Africans, from all corners of Africa, are equally relevant as stories of Africa, and that I think can be encouraged on platforms like Kendeka and other story writing platforms and competitions. And yes, it's something that I think will revolutionize the kind of stories that we have coming out of Africa.
Yes. Okay, that's beautiful. Now, what are some of the impacts, Sitembele? What impact do you think the African literature can have on fostering, a sense of identity and bring out the African pride among our communities?
Yeah. One of my poems on this issue is questions of identity.
Yeah.
The whole enterprise of colonialism has uprooted. Yes, the whole enterprise of colonialism. Its project was to uproot Africans in a settlement from who they are.
Yes.
And it succeeded.
Yeah.
Through many projects like Christianity, education, imperial or colonial education, where of course the only way to survive in certain ways was to despise who you are. Okay, I'm talking from personal experience.
Yes.
And at the present moment, my project is to bend out, what I've went through as an individual, as a product of post-colonial Christianity and national education.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe I was better than my ancestors. I can't relate to them anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I'm a yes, it's good to be a self-made man or woman,
Yeah.
but to a certain extent, one has to, be in tune or be in touch with their background.
Yeah.
But to cut my long story short, what this enterprise has done is to uproot us from where we should be.
Oh.
So, coming to your question,
Yeah.
that the real impact then of engaging with African stories is it's kind of some, it's kind of some justice, and healing, of the wound of the past, and because in a way, I'm just looking for the right word here.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word pedagogy, but in a way, this has been some kind of violence, being removed from who you are, being taught stories from another land,
Yeah.
and belonging nowhere. And of course, that affects Africans in many ways.
Yeah.
Nervous breakdowns, mental illness, you end up in mental institution.
Yes.
Because we've lost our identity. So, through engaging then with African literature,
Yeah.
we get restored, we get restoration,
Yeah.
we get healing, and we pass on something for our own children.
Yes.
Something valuable for our own children.
Yeah.
That's what they can learn from.
Yeah.
And lastly, African literature, of course, has always been a way of contributing to the field of African studies. The academic field of African studies.
Yeah.
So it also serves as a link or as a mechanism to go back to where we are.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Beverly, one of the things that has come out clearly is the mental health aspect of, how writers get affected when their books do not get to be published and then put out there for people to read globally. What are some of the ways that you think could actually be put in place just to make sure that mentally we are all fine, despite the fact that our books we don't get the chance to publish the book, but then again putting our mental health as the #1 priority?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a very relevant one,
Yeah.
particularly in the times we live in, with all the pressures that people are under. And for many writers, the economic pressure of survival
Yeah.
is something they live with all the time. So rejection of your manuscript, of your entry,
Yeah.
takes on a huge significance when that rejection has major consequences.
Yeah.
That has been the loop that writers have found themselves in for a very long time. And that's why I think platforms like Kendeka that allow writers a space where they don't need to pay to be there
Yeah.
is so important, because that payment becomes a stumbling block to your voice being heard. There aren't enough platforms like that.
Yeah.
I think as writers, we also need to be networked better, so that we become a support system for each other
Yeah.
in times of difficulty.
Of difficulty.
So in Zimbabwe, there is the Zimbabwe Writers Network, which is one that I became a part of. And the sharing makes such a big difference. So it's sharing information on the successes of individual writers, sharing opportunities for writers out there.
Yeah.
But basically just encouraging each other to continue in our writing journeys.
Yes.
Irrespective of whether we're winning awards, because the number of awards that are available within Africa for African writers is so limited. So limited.
Yeah.
So when you do get a foot on that podium, it is a huge prize. It is a moment to treasure, because you don't know when that moment will come again. But it's for us to use that now to encourage other writers not to give up on their own dreams. And I do that because of my age. I'm over 60 years old, and my writing journey is relatively new.
Yeah.
But I just believe that it's never too late to pursue your dreams and passions.
Yes.
And I encourage children with whom I've worked with all these years, and with whom I interact with, even with Daughters Destined for Purpose, that everyone has a voice, and whether your voice is heard by 2 people or 10 people or 5,000, use your voice.
Yes.
It still matters that because one person can make a difference. You can make a difference to one person's life, and surely that matters.
Yes, yes.
So I believe that networking amongst writers is very important in maintaining mental health.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is so well put. And now let's narrow down to Kendeka Prize. I'm interested to know, how did you come to know about Kendeka Prize? Just to start with this, Tembele.
These things keep on popping up in my phone.
Is it because probably most of the content that you look at online could be related to writing?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. How about you?
I think it was searches for writing opportunities that brought it up. Yes.
Okay, beautiful. And how do you find it so far? Do you think it's a beautiful journey that it has taken just to support African writers? Just to start with you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's a very beautiful journey.
Yeah.
Not just winning awards, but interacting with writers, like, at a certain level, you get to exchange ideas, and then I'm sure I'm going to steal some ideas here and see what I can implement in my community.
Beautiful.
Because I had, in the past, I had similar projects in my village, just basic projects, engaging with youth. Mine was from a spiritual level, a church, where I was engaging with youth from the perspective of being both a traditional and faith healer. And of course, you find that, this youth, there's this, this youth, faith is up there, they are hungry to begin with. So you find that, okay, before they get into church, you buy bread for them and they eat and they go to church.
Yeah.
And then was my church allowed for entertainment, in the sense that there's a brass band, so I bought a full set for them. It's kind of giving them skills in a way, directly or indirectly. But for certain reasons, I had to leave my hometown and do things elsewhere to develop myself.
Yes, yes.
So, going back to what you said, to what I've just said, I might steal some ideas here, because interacting as human beings at a very basic level, you find that, these stories are universal.
Yeah.
HIV, it's a universal story.
Yeah.
Poverty, it's a universal story. just reminds me now.
Okay, beautiful. Beverly, please talk to us on, the need or the importance of, supporting organizations like Kendeka Prize, because these are non-governmental organizations and sometimes funding can be a problem. So how important is it to just support them?
I think it's hugely important because the bigger the platform becomes, the greater the number of writers who enter competitions like Kendeka, the more viable it will become. In the early stages, I think, of any competition, financial constraints are always there. It's something that always has to be overcome. But I believe that the bigger the competition becomes, the easier it will be for it to grow as well with its leadership base.
Okay.
So I think it is hugely important, not just in Kenya, but we are looking at a continental issue.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So as we conclude, where do you see the future of African literature?
Future of African literature. I think, we mentioned something while we were sitting there about the first stories being cinematic, in the sense that more than the written word, we've got different aspects most of literature. The original, which was oral literature, then it was condensed to being written, and we've got different audiences for that. And still, some literature being adapted to television web and all that stuff. I think the fourth industrial revolution has changed everything. Does not mean you must not write, you must write, but presently you go to the internet and all that stuff, and they go, they watch movies and all that. So we have to write, but we have to take our literature one step further. Writing for the internet, writing for television, writing for writing for the stage, we have to see different ways at which we can affect and more
powerful. Beautiful, beautiful. Beverly, talk to us about the opportunities that lie ahead for emerging and upcoming African writers.
I think there are opportunities out there. They're not always easy to find. That much I can say from my own perspective as being a writer. But I encourage young and upcoming writers. This is where the internet is an invaluable tool. Is you've got to keep on looking for the opportunities out there. They don't lie in one place. They are scattered. As scattered as the people of Africa. So you need to keep on looking for the opportunity that fits your story. That's one thing I did discover, is that there isn't a fit for all. So sometimes we need to find the right fit for the stories that we want to tell. But I encourage the youth to just keep on looking for those opportunities and going back to networking. Network with the writers who are already out there. Piggyback on their successes. Get them to help you along in your journey. We don't have to let every writer start from the first step. Sometimes we can put them on our shoulders and bring them far ahead, so that they can get there faster than we ourselves may have gotten.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think it's now time that we officially invite people to tomorrow's event. Who's gonna start? I think it's important that you start, since you're the only gent here with us.
What's your question?
Just invite us to tomorrow's award ceremony.
Yeah, as the host has already stated that we've got this event tomorrow, which is a prize giving ceremony for winning short stories for the Kendeka Prize for African Literature 2023.
Yes.
You cannot afford to miss this. This is going to be a very beautiful activity, considering that our own host is going to be an MC.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, beautiful, Beverly.
People from Thika, Nairobi, all of Kenya, this is a very important event on your literary calendar, on your national calendar.
Yeah.
Please come out and support the Kendeka Prize for African Literature. We have traveled across the continent to be here.
Yeah.
If you are down the road, please come and join us. There's a wonderful program in place. There's the launch of the anthologies. We will have recitations of some of the stories. It will be a wonderful day tomorrow, 2 p.m., 14 Falls Resort in Thika. Please come and join us.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And with that, we officially come to the end of today's conversation. What an amazing conversation we've had there. And just to remind you, in case you still want to reserve your seat, we still have a lot of space for you people. So in case you want to reserve, the price is 1,000 Bob Kenya shillings, and the pay bill number is 400200, and the account number is 400298834. Reserve your seat. It's Kendeka Prize. That's the name that is gonna appear once you make your payment. And of course, who wants to miss tomorrow's event? Because we have a beautiful events lined up for you. Beautiful performances, beautiful speeches from various speakers, and of course just a symbolic act that you wouldn't want to miss. That's it for today's amazing episode. I have been your beautiful host, Lavin Nyagawa. Let's meet same time, same place next week. God bless you.
Katika kipindi tunakuletea wasanii.
What's up my guys, I go by the name Reynams.
Eti nikipita kwa macho unanipimia, na kama sina pesa unguwezi nipimia hapa Shenster the Poet manze.
Ngoma moto moto.
If you wanna show some love, I don't fake it. Hey, ndakumenya mawazo makuu. Nani anadera shida? Oh, utani waku.
Vichekesho mkisongaza, mahojiano moto moto, stori za wasanii pamoja na talanta za wasanii.
Fiki wa kasi gani kama wapatikani wakati wa shida.
Na pia kwenye kipindi utabambika, utajijenga, utaelimika, utakuza talanta yako.
My name is Rebecca Mutie, I'm a model and I'm African Kenya. I'm a student. Napenda kusikiza kipindi cha Bonga na Katoni kila Jumatatu kuanzia saa 9 mpaka saa 10.
Kumbuka ni kwenye Bonga na Katoni ndani ya TAS TV kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 10 kila siku ya Jumatatu.
This is Bonga na Katoni in TAS TV. Karibuni.